Oh, and happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm happy to be back here with you after having some time at the lake with my family and just a little bit of time to do some catch up on some other things last week. So, happy to be back here with you talking about all things arthritis and autoimmunity. And today I wanted to touch on a topic that I get asked about a lot. And because I'm a nutritionist, you guys all know that the approach I use is very nutrition forward. I believe and I have seen in my own practice how important making specific dietary changes is to improving your arthritis symptoms and managing them. So, one of the things I get asked all the time is how do I stick to a joint friendly eating plan? I like things like barbecued ribs or ice cream or potato chips or pizza or whatever it is that you really like. And especially, I know during summertime, it can be really hard to stick to things, to a healthy eating plan when, there are a lot more social gatherings, there's summer holidays, maybe camping or going to the lake. And, we tend to have a lot of foods that are kind of traditions for us that we might have at some of these events and holidays that we know might not be the best for us or that can flare up our symptoms. So, how do we stay on track when we are dealing with holidays or other events? Or just when, we really don't feel like staying on track because we really enjoy eating certain things that we know don't make us feel the best. So, the first thing you need to know is that this does not mean you are weak in any way. It does not mean you are undisciplined or that you don't have the willpower to stick to a plan. All it means is that you're completely normal and you have a human brain. And when we realize that our brains are always going to naturally and subconsciously try to pull us toward pleasure and to avoid pain and to stick to what we're comfortable with, and to make us actually feel kind of unsafe when it comes to making these changes that we know are good for us logically, our brain can trick us into thinking that we are not safe and that we need to go back to what we do know, what is comfortable and familiar, because our brain also wants us to conserve energy. So that's why we find it challenging to make changes. It has nothing to do with lack of willpower or lack of discipline. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You just have a human brain, and it's just really important to know that your brain is naturally going to take you to these places. And so, if you logically know that your brain is always going to want to give in to the cravings and to go back to what you're used to, then you can start to actually change your mindset so that you're able to stay on track. And some of the tips and tricks that I tell my clients and that I use myself to stay on track is I really make it a priority to have healthy food on hand. So I myself am not a cook. I kind of actually really like to bake. That's more of my thing, but you have to, you can't live on baking alone. You have to know how to cook. And I keep things really, really simple. You don't need to have a lot of, you don't need to have any special cooking skills or chef skills or anything like that. But what I do is I prioritize meal prepping and meal planning, a couple hours out of my week. I write it in my calendar, make an appointment. Today I'm going to plan out a couple of the meals I'm going to make this week. This is the day that I'm going to get the groceries for it. This is the day that I'm going to do some batch cooking. And that's really important because if we don't actually make the time in our calendar to do this, it's never going to happen. And when we leave things to the last minute, typically we're too tired at the end of the day. Something might have come up and we're just not feeling it. It's just so much easier to order food, grab, a quick frozen dinner or something like that that might not be the best for us. So prioritizing meal planning and meal prepping is absolutely key if you want to stick to any type of healthy eating plan. And one of the main things that I do to keep myself on track with that is I batch cook. So I do a lot of cooking that is things I can freeze easy. So I have that for the following week. So I'm not constantly cooking and replenishing food all the time. So for example, I'll make like a triple batch of of my Korean beef recipe, and I use ground beef for that. So it's super, super simple. It freezes amazingly well, and I'll freeze it in like 3 different portions. So I can just take one out, and that's going to last me usually about 3 to 4 days, depending on how big that portion is. And then I can just have to, quickly cook up some roasted vegetables, salad, anything like that. And that can be done quickly on the side. Another thing you can do is you can make a big serving of homemade salad dressing. So when you want to throw together a quick salad or like a quick slaw, that's something I'm really into this summer is okay, well, I have my salad dressing ready. Like sometimes I like to make like a honey lime olive oil dressing that's really nice, kind of has like a Mexican flair to it. And then all I have to do is just shred up some cabbage, maybe some carrots, and maybe some fresh cilantro if you like cilantro, which I do, and just throw that salad dressing on top. It's done in a matter of minutes, and then you can have some leftover protein that you have already cooked from the previous day or a couple days ago. So keeping things really, really simple, making large quantities of things that are readily freezable and that come out really nice and easy really, really cuts down on time and stress. So another thing that is super, super important, and it sounds pretty self-explanatory, but I think sometimes a lot of us don't think about this. You need to find joint-friendly recipes that you actually want to eat. So I think a big problem that a lot of us can run into when we are eating healthier for our health is we pick foods that look healthy and we feel like we should eat them because they look healthy, but they don't necessarily appeal to us and we don't look forward to eating them. So don't do that to yourself. It's so hard to stick to eating well if you're forcing yourself to eat things that you don't really like. So, full confession, I don't love avocado. I can take or leave avocado. So, if I'm going to make myself a meal that centers around avocado, the chances of me looking forward to that are pretty slim. I'm not going to look forward to it. And I'm going to try to convince myself out of eating that. So don't eat food that you don't like. And just keep experimenting with different recipes until you find new recipes that you do like, and then keep those in regular rotation. So, super, super important. Eat what you like. And I also say too, if you go off track for a meal and you eat some stuff that you know doesn't agree with you, get back on track for the next meal. Don't feel like you've ruined the day or that you've ruined the week or that now your plan is off because you ate one meal that isn't on plan. Just get back on track the following snack or the following meal and just keep going. You didn't ruin anything. All of these positive changes that you're making in terms of what you're eating are all going to add up over time. I know myself, when I look back to what I ate even like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, things have changed so much. And that's because we evolve over time. Like I said, I'm always trying new recipes and new meals that appeal to me. I've had a lot of duds that I've run into as well over the years. And that's okay. It's just a process. And so just realizing that this is not something that you're going to, ace and you're going to just get on top of in the course of like 1 or 2 weeks. This is a progression. This is something that you're going to probably always be working on. And that's totally normal and totally fine. You're still going to have cumulative results in time, over time. Another thing that is super, super important when it comes to sticking to a joint friendly eating plan is making sure that you are getting rest. So, I know those of you who are dealing with arthritis or any other autoimmune type symptoms, fatigue is real. Pain is tiring. Having an autoimmune condition is also really tiring. That's one of the key symptoms that people can deal with. So, making sure that you are taking time to rest and also taking time to do things that you enjoy. So things like, maybe taking a breather and reading for 15 minutes, reading a book you like, talking to a friend, going for a walk, anything, it doesn't have to be major, but just making sure that you're carving out time for self care and things that are enjoyable and pleasurable for you. So, like I said, it doesn't mean that you have to go to the spa for a day. If that's your thing, great. But it just means that you need to carve out some time in the day for yourself to just reconnect with what you really enjoy and what really makes you feel good, things that make you feel calm. It's really, really important because we all know that stress really contributes to just feeling like crap. And it can also make our physical symptoms worse and also lead to stress eating. We've all done it. I'm sure I know myself, like if I catch myself stress eating, I really have to take a breather and figure out like what is actually going on. So taking that time to figure out, are there areas in our life right now that we really need to work on and that maybe we need to change or adjust? So I know for myself, if I'm stress eating about something, I need to take a breather and really think about why am I doing this? What is actually bothering me? What is kind of pushing me to stress eat? Because, like I said, our brain is always going to push us to seek pleasure and avoid pain. And that's one of the things that happens. And so, sticking to a joint friendly eating plan doesn't mean that you're never going to stress eat or go off plan. It just means that you are in a continuous process of learning and improving over time and learning about yourself. And part of that is figuring out, why are we doing these unhealthy behaviors in the first place? What's actually going on? What can we change? What can we get help with? Do we need to talk to a counselor or a therapist or even just a trusted loved one about something that's bothering us? Do we need to get something off of our chest? So this is super, super important because we don't want to be white knuckling our way through healthy eating. If you are doing that, it means that there is something else that you need to adjust, or it means that your mindset is not in a healthy place. So this is another big thing that a lot of times people don't think about is where is our head at in terms of this? Are we looking at eating healthier in a really negative framework? Are we looking at it as something that's depriving, that we're going to have to white knuckle our way through, that we're going to have to force ourselves to do? And just like, you can't wait until a day that you can maybe eat like chocolate cake again. It's changing our mindset around what we're eating. So, eating healthier and eating to maintain or to manage our arthritis symptoms is an act of self care and love. It is not a punishment. And so, we have to stop looking at it like that. And a lot of the times, we don't realize that we're thinking negatively about these things. It's just naturally and subconsciously an automatic thing that happens. It's just the way our human brain works. So, again, nothing wrong with you or the way that you're thinking. It's just becoming aware of what is actually bothering us and what is our mindset at. So we need to look at making these healthy changes as positive, and again, finding those healthier foods that we want to eat and those meals and recipes that we actually look forward to eating. They do exist, I promise you. I don't want you eating food that you're like dreading eating because we all know that none of us are going to stick to that, right? So again, I think I'm not going to drag this out too long, but another thing I say too is ask for support. If you have other family members that are able to help you with aspects of staying on track with your healthy eating, whether it's having your kids do more chores around the house so you have more time to spend on meal planning or meal prepping. Maybe it's having family members actually help you either get the groceries or do some of the meal prepping, like washing and like chopping some vegetables or whatever it is that they can do to help. Maybe it's having, other members of the family do some cleanup. So maybe it's having a family member or a friend look after your kids for a couple hours on a Sunday afternoon while you prep food for the first part of the week. So just get creative. Think about how you can maybe get some support, get some help so that you can actually make your healthy eating a priority. Because that's the thing, we have to have the food on hand. and plan ahead if we want to actually stick to it. And so that's where the battle is won, is to make sure that you're planning ahead and asking for help when you need support so that you're not having to do everything yourself. So I know sometimes a lot of the really ambitious women I work with, and I know myself, sometimes it's hard to ask for help because I think, I don't know, for whatever reason, we feel like we need to do it all and we should do it all. But that's also, I think, really negative thinking that can really keep us stuck. So, being open to asking others for help and asking others for support, whether it's your family members or your friends. So, get creative with that. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any other questions about this topic today, just comment below and we'll be sure to get back to you. And I will see you again on Thursday with a joint friendly recipe to share. All right, everyone, take care and we'll talk soon.